I'm Kimberlyn Shearhart, and this is my final assessment video for HEFB 222 with Dr. Shipley. Over the course of the semester, I observed a middle school science teacher, and I was able to see some key takeaways that proved to be very useful and important in her classroom. One of the biggest lessons I took from observing is how important it is to treat each student as an individual. I saw how well students responded to feeling that they were known by both their teacher and me. A relationship with your students will help push them to succeed. Another very important aspect to what I learned is that it is necessary to hold yourself to the same standards you hold your class to, especially in a middle school classroom. It is hard for the students to take direction. However, it makes it easier for them to follow along if you are going alongside them in the restrictions that are placed on them. For example, if you don't allow your students to chew gum, you shouldn't chew gum either, and my teacher was definitely good about that. Lastly, I found that by mixing up the way you teach your students, it keeps them excited and engaged. When my teacher would do projects with her class, the students would embrace the material and they were able to do their assignments with a smile on their face. Along with the field-based experience we got in this class, we were also taught how to make sure that we're prepared to work with diverse students in our classroom. One of my favorite lessons we had in class was My Name, My Identity. In this, we learned that students' names are very important to them, and it means a lot if we say them in the right way. As a group project, my team presented to the class about the challenges students in poverty face with getting an education. I now understand that these students have so much going on, and the most you can do is ask them to try the hardest they can. Dr. Shipley also made it very important that we understood how to make our classroom LGBTQ+ inclusive. This comes with knowing these students are vulnerable to criticism from other classmates or teachers. As a future educator, it is so important that my future students know that I am an ally and that I will always support them. Throughout this course, I have found some things that made me stand out as an educator. First off, I'm personable and I'm a good listener. I especially found this out when I was volunteering at an after-school program. I would find students on the ground by themselves and I would go up and talk to them and they would be able to talk to me back, and I know that I made them feel comfortable in that situation. Another strength of mine is my creativity. When I'm an educator, I can use this to keep learning fun for my students and keep them engaged in the classroom. Lastly, I have always been raised to be on time, so one of my strengths is my reliability. Not only am I consistently on time, but I will show up with a good attitude to suit. At the same time I found some strengths about myself, I've also found some weaknesses throughout this course, but I've also thought of some ways that I can use to overcome those weaknesses. First off, I've always struggled with my own self-confidence. A strategy to overcome my self-doubt is to put myself in the best position I can to succeed. If I'm worried about deadlines or a test, I will feel more confident if I make sure I'm the most prepared that I can be. If I continue to succeed, then I will slowly but surely gain my confidence. I will always take the small wins to make sure I stay positive. Another weakness of mine is that I struggle to voice my opinion or what I think is best. A strategy to overcome this would be by practicing in many different situations of standing up for what I believe is right. This will work me up to be more confident about voicing my opinion in front of colleagues or teammates. Lastly, another one of my weaknesses is that I haven't learned to be proactive yet. Although I will ultimately get the job done, I tend to put off what I need to do until it is crunch time. To be more proactive, I can focus on prioritizing my time better so that I can get the best work out of myself. One of the most important things I've learned from this course is how to create a safe and inclusive environment for all of my future students. To make the safest and most inclusive learning environment possible, I will make sure all of my students feel that their voice is heard. When they first join my class, I will ask them what name they prefer to be called, how to say it, and what pronouns they prefer. By doing this, I will create the most comfortable environment for them to learn. Next, I want to reach my students beyond being their teacher. I will work my hardest to show my students that I support them and that they can feel comfortable coming to me when they need someone to talk to. Most importantly, I will make sure that I treat each of my students as an individual. I will take the time to understand where each of my students start my class and what my expectations for them will be at the end of my class. I will take the school year day by day and focus on accomplishing small goals to reach each of my students' bigger goals. All in all, this class has brought me one step closer to being a future educator, and I can't wait to use the lessons I've learned here when I'm in the classroom.